Bennett is a character that has often been underestimated due to misleading tier lists, when in reality he is one of the strongest support and healers in Genshin Impact and can also perform very decently as a DPS. In this video, we're gonna go over Bennett's kit and role, as well as explain in depth how his ult works. We will also go over his other abilities, talents, and constellation, explaining which ones will give you the best bonuses and how they actually work together. We will also go over his weapon choices and the stat priorities on those, as well as which artifact sets are best for Bennett and which stat should be going on each item. Lastly, we're gonna go over different team comps in which Bennett fits in well, as well as some extra tips for smoother gameplay. Bennett is currently available in the Star Glitter exchange for 34 Star Glitter. You can purchase one copy of him this month, and it is one of the most worthwhile purchases that you can do in this store all month. The main purpose of Bennett as a support will be from Fantastic Voyage, which is his ult. This ult is absolutely amazing and will enhance both your DPS's damage as well as heal for absolutely crazy amounts. This is basically like giving steroids to your DPS, and it will single-handedly carry you through some really hard encounters, as well as make Abyss Floor 12 much easier and much more manageable with this character and his ult. The way this ult works will be creating a field on the ground. While characters are standing in that field, they will be regenerated up to 70% of their health and will always regenerate while the ult is up. Which means that basically your characters will always be kept around 70% HP. The tick can go slightly higher and heal you up to like 75%, but generally will just keep your characters alive for a very long time. The ult lasts for 12 seconds and has a 15-second cooldown and has 60 energy cost, which means that with good energy recharge gear, you will have this ult up a lot of the time, which will keep your party alive and boosted for a very long time. If the health of a character in the ult circle is higher than 70%, they will gain attack bonus based on Bennett's base attack. This is the part that really boosts all your DPS, because based on Bennett's base attack, which can go quite high if you have him high level with a great weapon, you will be giving that amount to every character in attack. This can go from anywhere from 200 to 600-700 extra attack on your DPS carries in the late game. Now, the one downside about this ult is that the health of the characters in the circle have to be higher than 70% in order to get the attack buff, which is not a big deal considering that the ult will keep you around 70% and will often heal you for slightly more once you're close to that threshold, which will give you the buff most of the time. But the big kicker here is the first constellation, Grand Expectation. He removes the HP restriction completely and makes it so that every character in the ult always has their attack boosted. Also gives 20% more base attack, which is absolutely incredible. Now, it is important to note that the ult only is scaled off of the base attack. Now, the base attack is only increasable by both increasing Bennett's level and ascension levels, as well as getting his weapon based attack higher. Nothing else matters in terms of attack boost. Now, on the other hand, the healing is going to be scaling off of his max HP, and this is considering all of your artifacts, so the more HP you have here, the more healing you do. Bennett's other ability, Passion Overload, is a chargeable attack that can do power damage in different manners. The first one is just a single press, which will just do a quick strike that deals power damage. If you hold the ability, you can charge up to 2 different levels. If you charge up once, you will strike twice and dealing power damage as well as launching enemies. If you hold the ability for longer, you will unleash 3 consecutive attacks that all deal power damage, and also the last attack will trigger an explosion that launches both Bennett backwards and the enemy backwards from where they are. Keep in mind that if you have a shield on you, from example Chinkyu or Noel, it will not launch Bennett backward and will protect him from that. But in any case, he doesn't take damage from this at all. In terms of weapons choices for Bennett, the Sacrificial Sword is probably one of the top tier choices that can be accessible for most players. It is currently available in the Raid Up weapon banner and is an absolutely great weapon because it has a pretty decent base attack, as well as provides energy recharge, which is the stat that Bennett wants the most in order to have the maximum amount of uptime on his ult for healing and DPS purposes. It will also make it so that when you attack opponents with the elemental skill, the skill has a certain percent chance, depending on refinement level, to end its own cooldown, which means that you can basically cast the elemental skill multiple times in a row if you get lucky. Again, this is going to be incredibly useful in order to generate more energy. Now, if you are a whale or have gotten very lucky, one of the other options is going to be the Skyward Blade. Now, the Skyward Blade also provides insanely high base attack, which will scale well for his ult, as well as provide energy recharge. Now, for those who don't have access to these two options, there is also the Favorian Sword that has energy recharge and a good stat. And the Skyrider 3-star can also do very well if you don't have a 4-star option. Other options could include the Lion's Roar, for example, which is a very okay weapon with very high base attack and provides some attack here. Now, attack is not the best stats for him, and this does not come into consideration for his ult scaling, but it will provide his ult and his E more damage once triggered, as well as provide an increased damage against enemy affected by pyro. As far as artifacts are considered, Noblesse Oblige is probably the best set in the game for Bennett. Now, the 2-piece bonus will give his Elemental Burst, so his ult, an extra damage on cast, which is already pretty high, so this is a very nice bonus. Now, the real kicker here is a 4-set bonus, which means that when you are using his ult, every party member will have their attack increased by 20% for 12 seconds. Now, this lasts the exact amount of time that his ult lasts, so it is going to go hand in hand with his ult, providing an even bigger attack increase to the entire party, and it is absolutely amazing for him. Now, the Exile set provides energy recharge, which is again one of the best stats for Bennett, as well as the 4-piece bonus will give you Elemental Burst regeneration, so when you cast your ult, you will regenerate 2 energy for every other party member every 2 seconds for 6 seconds. As far as stat priorities go, of course, the Flower and the Feather are always going to be the same stat. Now, in the substat, you will like to try for energy recharge, which is most likely the best stat that you can get on any substat, as well as HP in order to have better healing. Now, what is really important is that on the Sands of Aeon, you want to have energy recharge. It is the only artifact that can have energy recharge on it, and it is one of the best things that you can get. Of course, you would also like it in the substat, but it is the one that you really want to focus on having. Now, as far as the Goblet is considered, HP is probably the best option that you can find, as it will increase his healing, and there is not many other options that will provide very useful here for him. Lastly, on the Circlet, the stat that you want to focus on would be healing bonus. Now, healing bonus will be very, very valuable because it is scaling much better than HP would scale in terms of healing. So if you're making your Bennett a support or healer, you want healing bonus on the Circlet as the best stat possible. Now, as far as team comps go, Bennett can go very, very well with almost any DPS character in this game. Now, the more Constellation you have on him, especially if you have 6 Constellation, he becomes a godly support for characters such as Diluc and Klee, as well as Xiangling, by turning all of her damage basically pyro. Also providing them an extra 15% power damage buff, and just the fact that the ult provides them a full healing circle that generates power, as well as generating a huge amount of damage increase from boosting their attack. Now, in a party with another fire character such as Diluc, and you bring Bennett as a support, you will get Fervent Flames, which increases the attack by a further 25%. If we add that up with all the bonuses already provided by Bennett, this will create insane damage boost in that party, and it is one of the reasons why Bennett is so powerful and probably an S tier support in most cases. Bennett also pairs extremely well with characters such as Mona for big burst comp. Bennett also has very high potential to help you break ice shields in certain levels because of his E short cooldown as well as his ult short cooldown, so he can be a very good character to bring as your solo fire character in your party because he will be a great buffer and a great fire element that you can count on. Now, as said before, within his ult, the fire element will be applied to all of the characters inside, which will be very good to cleanse your party of certain ice debuffs. Now, there's almost no character in the game that don't go well with Bennett. He can be brought as a healer or a secondary healer, he can be brought as a support, and he can be brought as a secondary DPS / support and do well in any of these situations. There is almost no time where you wouldn't want to bring Bennett. There is nothing bad about him in any situation. All in all, Bennett is very underestimated, but in the tier list should be considered an S+ support and an S healer, as well as probably an A DPS. There is almost no one better than him to support a fire party such as Diluc, Klee, and Xiangling based parties, and he can go with literally anyone else and still provide insane amount of value. As always, guys, Thank you for watching our videos. We have over 60 different Genshin Impact guides as well as over 15 character guides, so feel free to check them out on our channel, and if you like them, please subscribe as it really helps us grow and make this our lifetime dream. Stay tuned for more character guides coming out very shortly. I hope you guys have a nice day and see you on the next video.